You are not the chosen one. You are the one which chooses. In the wide world of internet spirituality, there is a growing trend among content creators these days talking about this concept of the chosen one. And without exception, virtually all of these chosen one videos are utter trash. You will know them when you see them because they have titles like How to Know If You Are the or a chosen one, or what powers the chosen one has, or what difficulties the chosen one goes through. For the most part, these videos are usually AI generated or otherwise utilize a great deal of AI in the presentation. And the video is usually just not really much else than, say, 10 to 30 minutes of some AI voice blowing smoke up your ass about what a sensitive and super special snowflake you really are, that you're alone and misunderstood and outcast and unable to relate to others and vice versa, all because you are a chosen one. You are so special that the universe makes life harder for you. Now, some of these videos even go on to say stuff like society is scared of your power, and that others will say that your mission on this plane is so important that everything is going to just stand in your way. And of course, many videos will tell you all this at the same time. They'll tell you, oh, you're so special because you have this mission and the universe gets in your way because all these people, they're not ready and blah, blah. If you can't see why this is not a good thing, then you're one of the prime targets for this bullshit. You are one of the target demographics because they are blowing smoke up your ass to inflate your self-worth. Not in a healing kind of way. It seems healing at first because it's like, hey, maybe these people, they have a little self-confidence issue. Maybe they are having a tough life and they might need a little bit of reinforcement that, hey, it's okay. You're not a bad person, and you're a good person, you're a good being, you have power, you have this. But that's not what they're doing, because they make being a chosen one a rare and special gift that no one else has. In other words, they're blowing smoke up your ass to inflate your self-worth in a way that is maximally toxic and in a fashion that will ultimately make transcending the egoic delusion harder. That very thing that's making you feel suffering for not fitting in, that very same thing that makes you feel like you're in conflict with the world, they reinforce this by telling you that you're a chosen one and that you're special for that fact, that there are only a certain number of chosen ones. The chosen ones in society are always the ones who do this and that. It's the same stupid AI voice. It's always the same garbage. If you cannot transcend the egoic delusion, you can never properly refine the ego such that it aligns with your truest nature. This is one of the greatest sources of suffering, when the egoic self, which is not your true self, it's just an avatar. It's not something to be vilified or demonized, by the way. Those people who say you must destroy your ego and get rid of it, that's the other side of the chosen one syndrome, the chosen one issue. Those people think of themselves as chosen ones as well. They're too good to experience an ego. When your egoic avatar is not aligned with your truest nature, the egoic avatar is in conflict with that will which drives the choices, which manifest the experience of reality that avatar is part of. The avatar, this person that I think I am, this mental image I have of myself, this is nothing more than a two-way interface for consciousness to interact with itself, what we call consciousness. Because it is not consciousness in the definitive sense. We use the word consciousness to point at it. It is not consciousness, but what consciousness is that. So when your egoic avatar is not aligned with your truest nature, that is when life seems the most out of balance. That is when you are in conflict with yourself. That is when you're an outcast. And that is when your true power, that true power to choose what kind of reality you experience, is limited. It's sort of like, imagine the ultimate transcendental concept of divinity, an impersonal divine being in which all things manifest, surrendering itself to the egoic delusion of some tiny little part of itself, that that's all it is, surrendering all of its omnificence, abandoning that on this altar of mundane ego. God is D.H. Thorne. No, that's nonsense. D.H. Thorne is an appearance of the divine, and it's only part of it. I, the I am, the is, the isness, the being, the thing that we point at with the word consciousness, that is what is incarnating as this egoic being. It's taking the form of it because that form is within itself. So basically, all these videos are the same kind of ego-inflating, victim-enabling, psychobabble-filled ego trap. They are blinds, like in a grimoire. They are videos. These videos, they're intentionally preying upon vulnerable people. People who are simply looking for meaning and a little self-confidence. And in exchange, the content creator makes ad revenue and sells lame self-help bullshit and so on. I almost feel called out. I like to think I'm different. But you are not the chosen one. You are not the chosen one. You can't be. The very notion that you could be the chosen one is absolute nonsense. And I can hear it already. Somebody's out there going, well, you can't be it if you don't believe it. No, you're not listening. You don't understand. You're not the chosen one because you are not that which is chosen. You are that which chooses. You transcend the chosen one. You are far more than the chosen one. And that, too, is a dangerous egoic realization. Because the ego has a tendency to say, oh, that he's talking about me? No, I'm talking about that which is watching the experience of the person watching this video. I am talking to consciousness, that which we call consciousness. I'm talking to the soul. You, the impersonal, divine you, the formless self, the ultimate self within all selves. You're not this egoic person. You are the absolute itself in the form of this person, fixated upon this person. You have indeed chosen this person to witness. In that sense, yes, this person is a chosen one, but it's not exceptional in that fact. You see, you have indeed isolated a part of your infinite being such that you are selectively fixated upon the first-person perspective of this person to the exclusion of all others. So, while it may be fair to say that the person, in quotes, is a chosen one of the divine, this isn't really anything special. Every single person is chosen to be an avatar of the divine. Indeed, the world around you is no less an avatar of the absolute than this personal being you think you usually are, or anyone else or anything else is. The wall behind me, the curtain, is an avatar of the absolute that is me. The tree outside my house is an avatar of the absolute, and that absolute is what I, you, and we all are. The ant colony that I just poisoned for infesting my pantry is an avatar of the absolute, as is the poison I used to kill them. All is avatar. In this higher mystical understanding, there is nothing special about being the chosen one, because there is nothing that is not already chosen by the absolute self to manifest itself as. Pick up any random object around you. That is the chosen one. Meanwhile, these chosen one videos are invariably nothing more than narcissistic bullshit designed for people who are in pain and seeking validation and healing, and they reinforce the egoic delusions we have, which lead to the true self to identify with the mask that it wears. So they reinforce that process. They reinforce this delusion that you are the mask, because they make the mask something special. They glorify the mask. It's an idol. What do you think the stipulation against idolatry is in monotheism? You're not supposed to, if you're a Christian, you're not supposed to worship any idol. By the way, that includes the name, word, concept of God as they understand it. That is an idol too. They don't know that because it's been corrupted. The teachings, the Abrahamic teachings, the Semitic teachings really, going back far before Abraham, were corrupted and turned into this other thing over time. Exactly when that happened, I don't know, but that's the point. There should be no graven images. In other words, nothing is God. Nothing you experience itself is the divine. But the divine takes that appearance. Everything that you witness is an avatar for it, but that doesn't mean the avatar is the divine. You will note that I often make it a point in my videos to tell you that D.H. Thorne isn't who or what I am. D.H. Thorne is an actor, a mask, a character. The word person used to mean a kind of mask worn by actors that had like a megaphone in it. That's where the word person comes from. Look it up. D.H. Thorne is just a mask. He is not who I am, but he is a mask for a part of what we all are. D.H. Thorne is a mask for a small piece of the absolute. He is an avatar of the true self, and so are you, and that true self has no name, no identity. These Chosen One videos do not direct you to gaze inward and come to discover what I just said as the true nature of the absolute self, and thus, in so doing, expose the ego as being nothing more than act or performance. Instead, they direct you to reinforce that egoic delusion, to see yourself as some kind of super special entity, superior, and in all ways, a victim and a conqueror at the same time. A conquering victim. Wow, that's quite a combination. They try to get you to think that you're someone who has this super important role to fill, a mission in life, and so on. Now, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with recognizing that the egoic identity has a role to play. There's nothing wrong with recognizing that your ego can have a mission in life, a role to fill in society or in your family, because your egoic identity is a mirror of the external reality. Whatever you are is what the universe is not. In other words, the perceptual universe, not the universe in fact, but the way it appears. The universe around you is a reflection of the part you don't see, which is the true self. And this personal avatar is part of that big mural. And if you took this person out, that mural would cease to exist. And without that mural, this person would cease to exist. But these teachings don't teach you that. They teach you that this avatar, that this character, this icon in the middle of the mural is somehow more important than any other icon. And there's only so many that are chosen ones. This idea that only certain people will wake up and recognize their true nature, and it's your job to be a special... Come on. This is cultish programming at its finest. It's what every cult does. Christianity begins with the lie of original sin, that you're somehow a broken, fallen being that needs the church to save you. And these videos will tell you you're this downtrodden God or whatever, this chosen one that must rise up, and they'll of course guide you. And this gives the ego a false sense of importance, usually using that feel-good false light nonsense, you know, that your role is to heal the world. If you're a chosen one, you're a healer and you can witness the future and guide humanity. Oh my fuck. Everybody has that capacity. But these videos make it sound like only some of us do. They make you feel so special, and they use that to extract money and popularity from their audience. So what is the truth, if any, behind the chosen one concept? Well, there is truth behind it. The fact is, your egoic persona is chosen, but they are all chosen. But it is chosen by you. In this instance, the being that you think you are, you have chosen to identify as. So in that sense, that identified being is a chosen one, but they're all chosen. And if they're all chosen in that way, then there is no such thing as a chosen one. The whole point goes out the window. You are the true self within all selves. You are not those lesser selves, those personified selves. No, this person you think you are, it's an interface, a representative, an agent, a steed even, a chariot, the temple of Solomon. And in truth, it does deserve love, respect, compassion, patience, maintenance, work. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking this egoic mask and making it what you will of it. That's not at issue. There is no such thing as a master of spirituality that would tell you that your ego must be flushed down the toilet. They would say you must transcend it. And only by transcending it can that ego be purified, refined, and allowed to be a proper spokesman for the true self. You are not the chosen one. You are the one that chooses, and nothing can choose that one that chooses. It is the only thing there is. You choose to take on the identity of this egoic character. You choose to forget your true nature in favor of this avatar mask. You choose to become this person for a while instead of the divine being which you ultimately are, in exchange to be this person. And you do this for the experience of limited experience. You do this because you can, because it is inevitable for you to do all that there is that is done. This egoic being is a mask which filters the unlimited whole through a limited pinhole of egoic and phenomenal experience, creating a limited, bounded experience. I can't see what's on the other side of my walls. I'm limited by my ability to perceive through this avatar. But I know good and well that beyond those walls is still more reality. What form it takes is nothingness, because if you're not witnessing it, it's unformed. That's another talk for another time, by the way. But you are not this being. You are simply witnessing through this being. And this being is I say it's a part of you, that implies that it's like somehow an object. But ultimately, it is a form that the absolute takes that seems objective. Think of the egoic self, the avatar, a little bit like a VR headset that both generates an external world and projects a personal avatar into that world and uses that avatar as an interface to experience that external world simultaneously, the self and the world. So it creates a sort of barrier, a filter between you and the rest of yourself. It is literally a veil. That is the veil. The veil is the illusion of self and other, or internal and external. That idea that there is an internal self and an external whatever, self or otherwise, that infinitely thin barrier, that wispy thin veil of self versus other, there's zero space between them. That's the veil. And the self isn't this. The self is behind this. It's within this. But it's also on the other side. So behind that facade of the world is the same thing that is behind the facade of the personal self as well. The same infinite whatever that's behind this mask is the same infinite whatever that's on the outside of that external. It's on the other side of the external. When I look into the eyes of my wife, it's the same infinite self gazing back through her eyes. It is ultimately the same numberless being, the same thingless thing we refer to by way of words like consciousness, but is not defined by words like consciousness, or words like Brahman, but is not defined by words like Brahman. So what this means is that every single egoic being is a chosen one, if you will, and every single externalized element of experience is just an externalized egoic being, another chosen one. Your boss that you hate is someone you chose to hate. So you not only choose the avatar, but its environment and the relationships. You are the chooser, you are the witness, you're the observer, and you're witnessing and choosing within yourself what is already there. You just externalize it. You think it's external to you. You think this is an outside world, but it's not. This realization, when you achieve it, by the way, it's a universal realization. Every mystical tradition gets you there. You may express it differently, There may be different ways to say it. There may be different emphasis. There may be people who speak it a different way. I tend to be irreverent and left-hand path edgy about it because some people need that kind of teaching. But ultimately, this negates the entire point of the chosen one concept. There's nothing special about the chosen one. That's the first thing the chosen one realizes in every single instance. Neo, Jesus, Buddha, all these chosen one archetypes in our culture. What's the first thing they realize? That they're nothing special. They're just an incarnation of the divine. They are just a way to experience the self in an externalized way. They all know this. And of course, religions twist this. The Christian religion twisted it into worship of a man character, when in fact, it was his teachings that mattered, and they were mostly destroyed. The little bit that remains, such as Nag Hammadi and the Dead Sea Scrolls and all these things where you can get the more Gnostic version of things, has been lost until recently. The mainstream Christian view is utterly corrupt. It's Saturnian. The cross is a symbol of Saturn. It's the cube unfolded. Of course, the light bringer is sacrificed to death, to time, of course. It's a corruption of the truth. And when you get into this, where this idea that only some people are chosen ones and not everyone is, you are heading for a massive, 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 massive ego block that will last you the rest of your life if you're not careful. No, the fact is, when you truly begin to awaken, you realize that each of our personal avatars is Neo. Each of our personal avatars is Jesus. Each of our personal avatars is Lucifer and Buddha and so on. This negates the whole point of blowing smoke up the ass of people and calling them a chosen one. That's why I don't do that. Since the beginning, I have told you guys, and every good spiritual teacher will tell you, nobody is special. We're all wonderfully special. It sounds contradictory and paradoxical, but it's not. Everything is the glory and the light. Everything is the dark and the doom. Everything is the one manifesting as the many. So the maximal extent in which the chosen one concept has merit is the understanding that the absolute self chooses or selects this part of itself to witness and incarnate through, or as, or whatever your verbiage needs to be. This person you think you are is a set of ideas you have chosen to identify with and nothing more. So in that sense, your ego is a chosen one, admittedly, but it is not, in the context given by this nonsensical false light bullshit we see everywhere all of a sudden, it is not the only one. In fact, everything is the chosen one. Everything is chosen to the point where the point is moot. If there is only one thing, then the number one is a moot thing. There is no one if there is only oneness. There's no many. Without many, there cannot be one. Without one, there cannot be many. Meanwhile, the reality is transcendent of one or many or zero or infinity. Likewise, the concept of a self that is a chosen one is a number. It's a one. But the true essence of self is numberless. So these people who create these videos are either deeply delusional or simply preying upon the spiritually ignorant for clicks, money, and viral notoriety. Or maybe they might even have a more nefarious goal, which is to counteract the enlightenment movement that is expanding and gaining speed and blowing up in society. Just a few years ago, everything I talk about was like, some people heard of it, but now it's like people are just receptive. This understanding of enlightenment, this understanding of non-duality, monism, unity consciousness, all these different ways of saying the same thing are blowing up. It's like people are waking up in the middle of this ongoing calamity of modern civilization and realizing, hey, now true, 90% or more are still dead ass asleep, but at least in Western society, but, well, really all around the world, but it's improving constantly. It's accelerating. And these people who create these videos are either deeply delusional or they are using this to counteract that. So don't fall prey to these charlatans. Instead, transcend the egoic delusion once and for all. Come to realize how much more meaningful it truly is to know thyself as you truly are, not as this personified egoic avatar. That doesn't mean that you surrender the avatar forever. That doesn't mean that the ego is dead and gone, that you have to go off into eternal nothingness. That is an option. In fact, that's one of the more toxic traditions in spirituality, that this material world is some kind of an evil, demented, gross thing that you should avoid. Then why did you choose to manifest it, you fool? Why are you being so nihilistic? You chose to incarnate in this place and time. This is your glory. This is your adventure. Embrace it. This is the dream of a lifetime. Why are you scared of it? Why do you hate it? Because it hurts? Because there's a little unpleasantness? What are you, a pussy? Come on. You're God. You're the divine. You're Brahman, incarnate as this person. You chose this. There's nothing to escape. Making it something to escape gives it power. And the ego loves that conflict of the ego wants to escape the prison. The ego is Agent Smith. Neo is the witness. And the Matrix is the external world in which Agent Smith is a part. Agent Smith can never leave the Matrix. The ego can never leave the bubble of Maya. The true self is the only thing that can transcend either, and only by realizing what it is and acting through that egoic avatar to the fullest. To live that life to the fullest, no matter how bad it gets, even in the worst moment, some piece of you in the back is sitting there going, eating popcorn. Oh, this is fucking incredible. I love this. Wow, that fucking hurt. You see his arm get ripped off? Wow, that was amazing. Was that an orgasm? That's what this is about, to experience it. In this perspective, being a chosen one is a demotion. It's a downgrade. It's becoming Agent Smith. It's permanently entrapping yourself in the Matrix forever. So the next time you see one of these AI videos, these synthetic agents, if you will, spewing their garbage about how you're the chosen one, go to the comments and just copy paste the following. You are not the chosen one. You are the one that chooses. And let the wise recognize. And let the fool continue. Until next time, my friends, this is D.H. Thorne. I hope you like, share, and subscribe this video. And I'll see you next time.